Well, Damian Green was effectively Deputy Prime Minister under Theresa May. He's pledged his support to Penny Mordaunt. He joins us now. Thank you so much for being on the programme.
Good morning.
So why Penny Mordaunt?
Well, because I think she's the best candidate to unify the party, and looking at the country, in the end, is what matters in this. What we desperately need is a period of calm, competent, stable government. And to do that, you need a united party. And Penny is a candidate who is attracting support from all wings of the party. You've just done an interview with Steve, and he was talking a lot about Eurosceptics and Brexiteers and things. Penny, of course, was a very strong supporter of Brexit. I supported Remain. So, this is a visible sign that Penny is the best placed of all the candidates actually to bring a very fractious party together. But that's worth it in itself. But actually, what I care most about is the country. And unless we have that kind of stable, unified government, then we're not going to be able to stabilise the country. We've got a difficult period ahead. And I think that calm stability is what the next government should aim at, and Penny would provide that.
You say she's attracting support from all wings of the party. I guess the problem is it enough support? Because, has she got the numbers? How many MPs is she on now? I mean,
well, there are a lot more than 23, because a lot of colleagues are not saying, for various reasons. I wouldn't criticise them for that. But it's multiples of 23. I think.
Where would you put it?
We're confident of. I won't reveal numbers, partly because they change by the hour, they grow by the hour. But I'm confident that Penny will get over the line tomorrow.
You think she'll get over 100?
Yes.
OK. So no question of her pulling out today, then rowing in behind another candidate. She's in it to win.
No, she is in it to win.
OK. I just wonder that you're talking there about unity and the importance of what the country needs: stability, unity. With that in mind, is it not in the national interest for Penny to show that unity and row in behind another candidate if it is going to be difficult for her, potentially, to go on and win this contest?
Well, I don't think so, because the other A, I think she'll win, but B, we have a process, and if it's all stitched up behind closed doors by big figures at Westminster, then our party members will feel cheated. We do have this two-stage process, and I think it's a sensible innovation that we have this indicative vote, so we will know as MPs who's ahead. But,
the party members might feel a little bit bruised anyway, because you've effectively told them that they got it wrong last time. Well,
we haven't told them that. It did go wrong. Liz admitted mistakes. It's been a terrible few weeks, and she stood down. But I think in this context, what we do need is to respect the process. And if it's an evidence stitch-up, as I say, I think our party membership will be pretty disgruntled about that. And that would be a bad way for a new Prime Minister to set out on the journey.
You are talking about the optics of a stitch-up and how people would react to that. There are obviously reports of Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak having talks last night. Do you think that kind of potential deal-making could be seen as a stitch-up?
Well, I don't know. And I think none of us knows what happened at those talks or what was discussed, or indeed whether they've stitched anything up. We don't know. But I think the fact that we are talking about it in those terms suggests the danger of that if they turn around and say, right, the two of us have decided what's going to happen to the country, then perhaps many of my colleagues, and certainly the party members, and possibly the country as well, will think, hang on, that's not the way this is supposed to work.
What do you think of the idea of a Boris Johnson Prime Minister, round two?
Well, we saw what happened last time and how the government sort of literally fell apart with 60-odd resignations. So I just don't think it would work, and I think particularly not at this time. I think we all know that there's this Standards Committee investigation going on, and as long as that's going on, there is the possibility of, if he became leader again, then in a couple of months' time we'd all be here again, and absolutely we should not put the country through that.
Now, it's the second time, of course, that Penny Mordaunt ran for the leadership. She, I think, came third last time, fell short, backed Liz Truss. This is what she said about Liz Truss at a hustings in August. Who can lead? Who can deliver? Who does have that bold economic plan our nation needs? I've seen enough to know who that person is, and that is Liz Truss. If Penny Mordaunt genuinely believed that Liz Truss had the bold economic plan our nation needs, What does that say about her judgment?
Well, I think, a majority of people supported Liz. I didn't. I voted for Rishi in that phase, having supported Penny in the previous couple of rounds. We had a decision between two candidates. Liz herself admits that she had an economic plan, but tried to do it too far, too fast, with the terrible consequences we saw in the markets.
Terrible consequence, as you say, but Penny Mordaunt sat in the cabinet and she signed off on measures of the budget.
Well, I think one of the things we do know is that the cabinet weren't consulted about that budget. That it was agreed between Liz and Kwasi, and then announced basically. So I don't hold the cabinet responsible.
She didn't stand up to Liz Truss, did she? She sat in the cabinet. She backed the plans.
Well, I mean, the cabinet I think met literally 3 times in its whole period. So I think trying to blame members of the cabinet for what's happened over the past 2 months is actually unfair. Just for various reasons. They weren't meeting, for obvious reasons, given what else was happening in the world. But I think where we are now, then we need someone who does share the overall vision of a lower tax, smaller state, but who recognises the reality that the most important thing is to stabilise the economy, to make sure that Britain is a credible player in the world again. And Penny has already taken steps. She said she would leave Jeremy Hunt as Chancellor. I think that's a very important step forward. We've seen that Jeremy, with all his experience, has stabilised the pound, stabilised the gilts market. So that is a very strong message to send to the outside world. In the end, although this is an internal party election, it's what happens in the outside world that's going to decide on the success of the next Prime Minister and the next government, and Penny's already taken a significant step forwards to that.
It's interesting to talk about Penny Mordaunt's plans, because I guess the criticism that some MPs have is that they just don't know that much about what her vision is, about what she stands for. I remember the last leadership election, Ian Duncan-Smith telling me he doesn't know what Penny Mordaunt has achieved in government. Lord Frost said that when he worked with her, she wasn't always visible. Sometimes I didn't even know where she was. Is she a bit of a submarine?
Yeah, I think that last criticism is particularly unfair, and I can say that with some authority. I was Secretary of State for Work and Pensions when Penny was the Disabilities Minister, and I didn't know her very well when I went into that job, and I was tremendously impressed both by the effort she put in, the work she put in what's a very difficult brief, but also the imagination she showed. She revived the Disability Confident campaign, and there are tens of thousands of people with disabilities in work today who wouldn't have been had she not done that. So she's a very, very effective operator. And in terms of the vision, she has, if you like, an orthodox conservative vision, a patriotic vision that says that we want to provide opportunity for people, we want to make sure that the public finances are sound, and we want to make sure that Britain can pay its way in the world, can act as a big player in the world, and can do that while trying to keep the state under control, spend every penny of public money effectively. So it's an orthodox conservative vision, but that's what the Conservative Party stands for. It's
interesting listening to what you just said there about opportunity, about patriotism, about public finances. I mean, you could imagine Rishi Sunak saying exactly the same thing. What's the dividing line? What's the reason that people should back Penny Mordaunt other than the front runner?
Well, I think that the difference is that of all the candidates, and there aren't very many, but of the 3 of them, Penny is the one who people will instinctively rally around. We're already talking about the possibility of the other 2 doing a deal to try and unify the party. Penny doesn't need to do deals to unify the party and stabilise the government. Because of what she stands for and because of the work she's done, she can do that herself. And that, I think, makes her the strongest candidate.
Just very quickly, if she doesn't make it, I know you think she will you be backing Rishi Sunak again?
I will see what happens, but I'm not anticipating that, so okay. I haven't thought about it yet.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for being on the programme today. Damian Green,